Okay, I'm getting ready to sew my next row on using the serger. I have my right sides to right sides fabric on both of the front and the back of the quilt, and then I laid my batting over the top of this. When I do this attaching of the next row, I'm going to use a little bit wider seam, and this of course sergers cut off some of the fabric because they have a little knife, and I've used a medium long stitch, and I'm going to be a little bit careful about how I do this because ripping serger seams is not as easy as ripping regular seams. So this is about what my seam width looks like. This was my practice piece that I checked my length and my width. I want a medium to wide width of my seam. And I've got my original sandwich with my second row in the middle of this, and then my fabrics for my third row on the top and the bottom. Chopping loud noise that you hear is the knife cutting through all 6 layers of fabric, and it's something we can't avoid when we have sergers. This is my old serger. Had it for 20 years. Still works great. Also is a wonderful seam. And if anybody wants to know why you use a serger, sergers are fast. If you have a quantity of things that you want to do in a short amount of time, sergers are the way to go. I do costumes and often have to make many things in a short amount of time, and so the serger saves my life when it comes to that. As far as quilting, you can do simple quilt piecing. I've made jelly roll brace quilts using the serger. I've done friendship braid quilts doing the serger. Quilt as you go, serger quilt, kind of things like this. So they have usefulness, but they're not for doing piecing of you know, your exquisite stars or things like that. That would be difficult to control your width, your starting and stopping points, and the precision that you would need to be able to sew something like that. So here we go. We're coming to the end of the row on this third row that we've sewed, and turn it again, and here's one side of my quilt, and here's the other side of my quilt. Now my next step is going to be to take my serger, and I'm going to sew this edge down. I'm going to try not to cut off as much this time because this seam that I'm sewing now is going to be one that is going to be encased later, and it is also going to be cut off a little bit, so I don't really need to have it to be as much trimmed off now as I did before. Again, I'm going to control where my bottom fabric is and my top fabric, and so I'm getting them lined up. Looks like my batting might be a little bit wider than 6 inches, which if you want to make sure that you have batting that's going to be caught in all the seams, you might want to cut your batting a little bit wider, 6 1/4 or 6 1/2 inches. I first learned about using sergers to make serger quilts from a video that Kay Wood did, and she did it similar to this, except her pattern was a little bit different. She made it a bordered print that almost looked like a log cabin quilt. She made it in that style where she had center part, and then she did a boxed design around it, and that turns out very cute. I made a number of those for the Cardinal Glen Pediatric Intensive Care Unit last year, and they were really simple. This is a little bit easier, goes a little bit faster. And so, you can check her video out if you want just a different style of serger quilt. And so now there we go with our third row. Alright, now we're going to do our fourth row, and when we do this, we're going to cut a little bit of this seam off because it'll be encased and we don't really need it. Alright, I'm getting ready to sew another row on. Picked my blue trucks for this side and just my plain blue print for this side. I'm going to attach these. I'm going to line up the ends and then put my batting over it, and this is the kind of row where we have 6 layers, so we have a lot to control. I'm going to sew in to a 3/8 inch seam and cut off part of my serging from the row before. That way I know that it will not show out as when I'm finished with the seam and I turn the quilt. So you can hear the knife is like, whoa, having to cut through an awful lot of stuff, so it's making a little bit of a chattering noise. This is my old serger. I've had this since 1992. And I bought it used, and it's lovely, and I adore it. It still sews a wonderful rolled hem. For the few dollars that I would get if I traded it in, I'd just keep it. Okay, I'm all finished. Now you can see my edges are uneven because the length or the width of the fabrics were a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim those off to make them even. Now I'm going to go and do my edges of my serger quilt. And I'm going to use this special kind of thread on my Evolve serger that does a wave stitch. This is called woolly nylon. And the woolly nylon, as you can see, as I let it relax, it kind of puffs out. So it'll help to cover the edge of my seam a little bit better. I have my sewing machine set up so that I have the woolly nylon on my looper and I have a regular stitch on my looper, and then I have another blue that is on my upper thread, and this is what the wave stitch looks like when it's sewn. When I get to the corner, I'm just not even going to cut this off. I'm just going to make a little gentle curve and go around the corner and finish my quilt that way. I have this set up so that my stitch length is very, very short so that it will fill in and really do a good job of covering the edge of the quilt. So I got the widest stitch width on there and one of the shortest stitch lengths on there. Certain machines, certain sergers will do this wave stitch, and I needed to get my manual out to make sure that I was setting it up right, because it's set up a little bit differently than if you were doing a regular serge stitch. It turns out kind of pretty. And if you don't have a serger that does this wave stitch, you can use a regular serge edge around it. You can still use the woolly nylon in one of your lower loopers, or you can use it in 2 of your lower loopers if you want to. It does a good job of making a nice hem. And here we go. Here's what our stitch looks like. It looks like a little wave around the edge.